begin with new developments on the suspected Chinese spy balloon that floated over the United States for the past several days. It was shot down this afternoon by U.S. fighter jets over the Atlantic Ocean. Fox's Kevin Uretsky has the latest.
After facing increased pressure to take action, President Joe Biden moves to shoot down the Chinese spy balloon that entered U.S. airspace earlier this week. The balloon was spotted Saturday morning over the Carolinas as it headed towards the Atlantic coast. According to 4 U.S. officials, President Biden gave the green light to take it down over the Atlantic.
They successfully took it down, and I want to compliment our aviators who did it.
Ahead of the operation, the FAA issued a ground stop on all flights departing and arriving to Charleston and Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, as well as Wilmington, North Carolina. The FAA citing a need to support the Department of Defense in a national security effort.
What we need from our president, whether it's a Republican or a Democrat, is strength. We need deterrence.
The president's decision comes amid heavy criticism from opponents who say the White House should have taken action sooner. The balloon, which violated U.S. airspace and international law, has been floating across the U.S. for several days. China claims it's a civilian aircraft used for weather research. The Pentagon, however, says it's a spy balloon.
This is a very tangible reminder of us that China threat is real and it's constant.
The incident prompted Secretary of State Antony Blinken to postpone a meeting in Beijing this weekend. It's a meeting which was already aimed at easing tensions between the U.S. and China. Efforts are now underway to recover balloon debris from the Atlantic Ocean.
Twitter on several different official. Well, I believe it just happened there. That was it. Live, raw, and unfiltered. It appears that China spy balloon has now been shot down over the Atlantic Ocean. You are taking a live look here, live, raw, and unfiltered, as that balloon appears to be heading downward after it has been shot down.
Move by the Communist Chinese Party.
Local attorney Randy Reep is an experienced F-15 fighter jet pilot who knows a lot about protecting U.S. airspace from foreign adversaries.
How unusual is it to see a balloon from a foreign adversary flying in U.S. airspace, especially this long?
It is not common at all to see a balloon of this size, particularly being used in the context of gathering data. You don't see this very often at all.
Reep says if the roles were reversed and the U.S. balloon floated over Chinese airspace, it would be shot down. He says U.S. fighter jets could easily do the same thing in this case, but our government must consider a risk assessment that includes
damage to property or heaven forbid, injury or death to people on the ground when the debris falls.
And there could be a lot of debris, considering the balloon is estimated to be the size of 3 buses. A former U.S. intelligence officer we spoke with off camera, who is currently working as a defense contractor, says the question we should be asking is why the balloon is maneuvering over sensitive sites and what kind of equipment is on board the balloon. Now, despite the U.S. military beefing up its presence in the Pacific, none of the people I spoke with today believe that the U.S. is on the verge of getting into some sort of military conflict with
this balloon. He joins us live. So today, News4Jax reporter Eric Avanier set out to get more answers about this balloon. He joins us live. Eric, I know you spoke to a lot of people today.
Yeah, I spoke with a local U.S. lawmaker. I also spoke with an experienced fighter jet pilot, and I spoke with a former U.S. intelligence officer to get their take on this suspicious Chinese balloon that, as of right now, continues to float inside U.S. airspace. U.S. government officials say the suspected Chinese spy balloon, which is currently floating 12.5 miles above the U.S., has already followed a path over several sensitive sites. And although the Chinese government says the balloon is a civilian airship used for meteorological research that somehow deviated from its planned course, U.S. officials have learned the balloon has the ability to maneuver and change course. U.S. State Representative Aaron Bean represents Florida's 4th Congressional District. He says he's shocked by how long the balloon has been allowed to travel through U.S. airspace.
It's highly unusual that the public knows about it, and it seems our government hasn't taken any action at all. I know all your viewers are wondering, like I am, why haven't we taken action to bring this thing down, to shoot it down. It is a very aggressive move by the Communist Chinese Party.
Local attorney Randy Reep is an experienced F-15 fighter jet pilot who knows a
All right, Shalom. I'd like to start off by saying Kal Halayim La Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Harikak Wadash Ma'amah. Double honors to the elder apostles, a great millstone, and my elder Herawan as well. Salutations to the Akim that are pushing the truth to sincerity and truth, and peace and blessings to the men, women, and children that believe in the name of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. All right, I'm Kanaksa Amba Yasharala from the Lions in the Yasharala camp, and this lesson I'm going into the suspected Chinese spy balloon that that was off the coast of South Carolina. All right, and as you can see from the video clips, that it was shot down, ordered to be shot down. Some say it wasn't even a Chinese balloon in the first place, but who knows what's what. But you know, I read this one article, and it says, it was basically saying how, once again, America's trying to paint the narrative and create conflict between China and the United States. I mean, there's conflict already there, but, you know, basically trying to, you know, get China and America to go out to a full-out war, because China is rebuilding their economy, and they're really being positioned to be the next top dog leading country, at least financially anyway. And America's trying to, you know, really put a stop to that. But even within that, Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai is against both of them. Even though he's setting them at variance against each other, the king's heart is in the hand of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, and he controls it whether, you know what I'm saying, he will. All right, so I got this one article. Let me find it. All right, I got this one article that says, it's from the Straits Times. I don't know how authentic this is. That's why I didn't really base my lesson on this article. But I just want to read a couple things from the article. It says, China says spy balloon incident is hyped up. All right, it says, the threat of a Chinese balloon drifting over the United States has been overplayed by some American politicians and media to smear Beijing, China's foreign ministry said on Saturday. The comments came after the U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken postponed a trip to Beijing to have taken place on Sunday. In light of the incident and following an outcry from lawmakers led by Republicans who have called on the Pentagon to shoot down the balloon. All right, so, and that's what they did. You know, you can see in those clips that they shot it down. And you heard what did the one Edomite say? That's my Air Force. You know what I'm saying? It could have been a Jake, I couldn't see. But that's how the people are. They're sitting ducks in the land of unwalled villages. And there's no military covering in this place. So you got to be covered by Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, because he's the one bringing it, you know. It says the U.S. assessed it to have been a spy balloon, while the Chinese maintained it was for meteorological research. We have no intentions to violate or use, or has never violated the territory or airspace of any sovereign country, China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs said in a statement. But they have when dealing with Taiwan, that's invading their territorial space. When China was building that man-made, I think that was China, building that man-made military base in the South China Sea, right? America's always, you know, putting themselves in the back door of all these countries, like putting their 2 cents into everything. You know, as a matter of fact, let me get Habakkuk. This is Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 3, right? It says, "For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith," right? So it's appointed time for everything, for these prophecies to play out, for judgment on the earth, for salvation. Are we leading into those times, right? But some things have to be revealed first, all right? Verse 4, it says, "Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by faith," right? So the soul that he's talking about is Esau, all right? Verse 5, it said, "Yea, also because he transgresses by wine, he is a proud man." And that wine that they're using to transgress is that dollar, man. Got everybody drunk off of it. "He's a proud man, neither keepeth at home," right? So America's the one, Esau's the one that's invading everybody's back door, all right? "Who enlarges his desires as hell and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathered unto him all nations and heapeth unto him all people." And that's America to the T. That's Esau to the T, man. You know, they're the ones that divided North and South Korea, you know, and things like that. They're the ones that divided up the Middle East. They're the ones that broke down. Well, it wasn't America that broke down the Soviet Union, but those are all Edomites too. But it doesn't matter who it is, as long as they get their agenda across. All right. So going back to the article real quick. So like China said, they have no intention to violate and has never violated the territory or airspace of any sovereign country, but America does it all the time. You know, it says some politicians and media in the U.S. have hyped it up to attack and smear China. The Chinese side is firmly opposed to that, right? And they always do that. They did that with Saddam Hussein. They want to execute that man for using chemical weapons, but he got the chemicals from America. So go figure. All right, it says, but the ministry also adopted a mollifying tone, calling for contact and communication at all levels to be maintained, and adding that it is responsibility of the diplomatic teams to be able to handle such situations. The ministry added that no visit had been officially announced by either side, and seeming signal that it was trying to downplay the deferment of Mr. Blinken's trip. It is the United States owns businesses to release relevant information, and we support that. In a separate statement, the ministry also said the top diplomats of both countries had spoken on Friday night about dealing with accidental incidents in a calm and professional manner. But then they speak about that, but then they go back and smear and slander the name of Chinese. What really they're going into slavery too. But it shows you the intentions, right? And how conniving these devils really are. That's right. In the face of unexpected situations, what both parties need to do is to stay focused, communicate in a timely manner, avoid misjudgment, and manage and control differences, said the Communist Party of China's Central Foreign Affairs Commission Director Wang Xi. All right, so, but that sounds too much like right. Negotiating and compromising and figuring and waiting till we get to what it is, like the scriptures say. Understand the whole matter before you pass judgment, roughly paraphrasing. But yeah, America, United States of America, all they want to do is it's a narcissistic setup that what they want to do is smear everybody else as being the bad guy and hold themselves as being the saviors. That puppet movie Team America. America, fuck yeah. Fighting the crime to save the motherfucking day, y'all. Excuse my French, but it's called America World Police. And that's exactly what it is. If America feels like it's their job to police the whole world, right? So within that, they have that gavel, right? And they're banging it down as they will, passing judgment, judging all these nations according to wickedness. Even though all these nations are wicked, but they paint the narrative, slander individuals, and then come in the name of democracy and say they want to make peace. The elder brought out a good point today at camp, where he said that what was it he said? The thought just slipped my mind. Hope Lord willing it'll come back. But America likes to pay. Russia was always known as the atheist country. So is China. So, as a political gain for the Vatican, that's when Eisenhower started the whole "In God We Trust" campaign. One nation under God. That goes in. Had a mouth speaking great things. All right. So, matter of fact, let me get this first. It says, so America has been the whole world police, right? And they've been chastising the nations, all right, through their policies, sanctions, through their warfare, any way they can to get their agenda across. This is Isaiah chapter 14, verse 4. It says, that thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how hath the oppressor ceased, right? The golden city ceased. The Lord hath broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, he that ruleth the nations in anger and persecuteth and none hindereth. Right. So that's what America's been doing since day one of the establishment of America. And Lord willing, real soon, I want to get into a lesson that I want to do that talks about the 9 events that led up to the Civil War. So America was built on division, and a kingdom that's divided cannot stand. So America has not been able to truly stand, right, since day one. But they manipulate and paint narratives and confuse and deceive. That's the forte of the so-called Caucasian race, Esau. That's what they do. They go into perdition and darkness and confusion. Just like they always have to be in that state because of the curse that was put on the serpent, man. And they walk around in that same spirit, So they had a great mouth speaking great things. Have all these Americans here, citizens, thinking, well, majority of them thinking that the things that America does is justifiable in the name of democracy. That's what they say every time. All right, continuing in the article, it says, in the face of unexpected situations, what both parties need to do is to stay focused, right? America's not going to do that because that's not a part of their narrative that they want to paint. They want to slander everybody that they stand in front of because they want to what? Take control. It says, a statement from the U.S. Department of State struck a similar tone, adding that Mr. Blinken would visit Beijing as soon as conditions allow. Both governments, so they make it a big deal. Oh, I got to cancel my trip to China because they're trying to do this, that, and the third. They made a whole big ordeal, and we have yet to see what exactly kind of vessel this was. Some say it was a drone. It might have very well been a drone, but I'm curious to see what exactly it was. I want to see what the news report says on that. All right, it says both governments have sought to play down the incident, insisting that they will continue to keep communication lines open, while China has made a rare admission of error and expressing regards to the balloon drifted off course. All right? So the balloons drifted off course, and America made a big deal about it, canceled the trip over there to Beijing by one of the government officials. He felt like, it wasn't safe to go through or whatever. But, it is what it is. America likes to paint the narrative, and then, That's how they bring everything to war. That's how they come into war, man. When they want to strike against somebody, they got to make it justifiable first. All right, there's another article. It says suspected Chinese spy balloon shot down off South Carolina's coast. It says the suspected Chinese spy balloon that has been drifting across the United States for several days has been shot down off the coast of South Carolina. The balloon was shot down by a U.S. fighter jet in U.S. airspace at 2:39 p.m. Right. So they're like, there's my Air Force, you know. Or it says, on Saturday, U.S. officials confirmed to CBS News, a senior defense official told CBS News that an F-52 dispatched out of Langley Air Force Base took down the balloon with one AIM-9X air-to-air missile. All right? It says, defense official previously told CBS News that the surveillance equipment attached to the balloon was the size of 3 school buses. It says, so it could have been like, I don't know, it could have been a drone. It says, senior Biden administration officials told CBS News Saturday that after the balloon was shot down, the government spoke directly with Chinese officials about the action. Those officials said that the balloon was first detected over Alaska in January 28. Footage shared on Twitter showed the balloon falling from the sky. The senior defense official told CBS News that the balloon was about 6 nautical miles off the coast of South Carolina when it was shot down. There are no indications that any military personnel, civilians, or aircraft or marine vessels were harmed, the defense official said. All right? So there's videos here of it being shot down and everything, but, you know, this is Esau trying to paint the narrative, man. So, you know, to push their agenda, man. That's exactly what's going on. All right, I'm gonna get a little bit more on this, these scriptures and close it out. So, but America is gonna be brought down like they brought down that weather balloon, man, or whatever it was. All right. All right. So continuing on with this Isaiah, it says, Isaiah 14:6, it says, "He who smote the people in wrath with the continual stroke." Why were they doing that? To push forth their agenda. So they don't care. They'll go the extra mile to make sure they can paint the narrative and make people judge you off the lenses that these devils are wearing through their eyes. It says, "He that ruled the nation in anger is persecuted and none hindereth," because all these nations are going to turn against America, man. It said, "The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. Yea, the fir tree rejoices at thee, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, since thou art laid down, no feller is come up against us." And this is all prophecy, man. That's what's going to happen to America. And this is how these other nations are going to rejoice when America falls. It says, "Hell from beneath is moved to meet thee at thy coming. It stirred up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It has raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations," man. All right. So this is what, you know, even though America's trying to paint a narrative of them being all about democracy and saving the world, Yahweh Shem Shai is going to make them a gazing stock and expose them for all their wickedness, man. All right, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying to serve his purpose without the light. Sekah halayim la Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Harakah Kwadash Ma'amath. Double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone and my elder Herawan as well. Salutations to the Akim that are pushing the truth and sincerity and truth. And peace and blessings to the men, women, and children that believe in the name of Yahweh Shem Shai. Shalom.